It's the final walkthrough. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, I can't believe I just did that, you guys, but I did. Okay, in this week's video, we are going to talk about the final walkthrough. What is it? Who does it? And all of the things that you need to do in this final walkthrough before you buy your new house. It's the final walkthrough. So stick around. Hey everyone, my name is Danae Hewitt and I am your go-to DFW realtor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So you are under contract to buy a house. Congratulations. And we are getting close to closing. One of the final things that you will do is called the final walkthrough. So let's talk about what that is, why it's so important, and everything that you need to do and check while you're going through that final walkthrough. Let's get into it. The final walkthrough is the last time that you are going to see the house before you put a lot of money down and spend a lot of money to buy that house. So you want to make sure that you have set eyes on the house before you go and sign on the dotted line. And you want to make sure that you do this final walkthrough 24 hours before your closing time. So some people do it the night before, the day before, or some people even do it the morning of closing and then just go straight to the closing table. But you just want to make sure that it is done within 24 hours of you buying and signing off on the house. Now, I've had some sellers ask me, well, do I have to let them do the final walkthrough? And yes, you do, because in the contract, you do have to give them the opportunity to come and see the house, but they also have to give you the notice when they plan to come in the house and be respectful of your time as well. I also tell my clients it would behoove you as a seller to let them do that final walkthrough, because when they sign, we can say, y'all did a final walkthrough. If anything comes up, y'all did a final walkthrough. And you can even have the buyer's agent sign off on a final walkthrough saying, yep, we've signed it. Everything is good to go. Everyone signs. So you have that sort of in your pocket to prevent any potential issues from arising after the closing table. So it's always a great idea for the sellers to allow it and then for the buyers to perform these final walkthroughs. When you're doing this final walkthrough, there are three things that we're going to look for. We're going to look for any of the negotiated repairs during the option period that were supposed to be done. We're going to make sure that those things were done. We're going to check the functionality of all the systems in the house, and we're also going to check the condition of the house. All right, so let's break all of that down. So during your option period, you guys had a home inspection, and the seller, at the seller's expense, was supposed to fix A, B, and C. Your agent should bring that amendment with you and maybe even the home inspection report so that you guys remember exactly what it was, and so you've got your list so you don't forget it, and also to make sure that oh, this part had to be done. Oh, okay. And then you actually check it. You actually check to make sure that it was done. Before this happens, the seller's agent should have provided you any receipts from that work that was done. Because here in Texas, our contract states that any repairs need to be done by someone who is licensed and knowledgeable in that field. That terminology is very, not knowledgeable, but something like that. Competent. That's the word. They need to be competent in their field, whoever is performing that work. So you should already have those receipts ahead of time to show that the work was done, but you're just checking off on it just to make sure. All right. That's the first thing that you are checking. The next thing is the functionality. So you're going to go through and you're going to test everything. All right. You're going to turn on the faucets. We're going to check that water pressure. You're going to run that water and you're going to look under the sink to make sure that there's no active leaks. You're going to open doors. You're going to open windows. You're going to really test everything. Now, this final walkthrough is not a home inspection. All right. You've already done that. This is just making sure that nothing new has come up, because in Texas, our contract states that you will be purchasing the home in the same condition that you went under contract in. So if during that time there is a new water leak that wasn't there during the home inspection, but there is one now, well, that is brand new. That's not how you intended to purchase the house. It's something new that has come up, and you can go back to the seller and say, that's not working. It needs to be fixed. We'll talk about that in just a minute though. Some things that might get forgotten that you definitely don't want to forget during this time is you want to make sure that the garage door opens and closes. You want to test the doorbell. I've been in that situation where all of a sudden the doorbell, the sound of it was like, what? Where did that come from? It just needed a new battery. You just really want to go through and just double check everything that is all functioning properly before the house is officially yours. The next thing we're going to check is the condition of the house. All right, so you may be in a situation where the seller has actually already moved out of the house before the house is yours. That doesn't happen a lot of the time. Absolutely, sometimes sellers go, nope, we're under contract, boom, I am moving out. And the house is going to be completely vacant when you are doing your final walkthrough. There's going to be other times where you're allowing the seller to have a couple of more days in the house. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month for the seller to remain in the house after closing. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the condition of the house. If the seller has already moved out, let's just make sure that they didn't leave a hole in the wall, that they didn't dent the door, moving their couch out for some reason. So that is not the condition in which you purchased the house, with a dent in the door. So you want to make sure that that's not there. And if it is, again, we'll get to that, what you're going to do. If you're buying the house and you are letting the seller stay in the house for, let's just say, a week after closing, just to give them time to move out, what I highly recommend that you do is you take a lot of videos and a lot of pictures of the walls, of the doors, of the floors, so that you can have proof and evidence that, oh, this was not there when I did my final walkthrough, and it's there now a week afterwards, now that the house is officially mine to take possession of. You've got the proof, so you can go back to the seller and have that conversation. Okay, again, we're getting there. Something that I've also seen is that, okay, if someone does a final walkthrough, that means, yes, the house looks great, I'm definitely going to buy the house and purchase it, but I'm letting the seller stay in the house for a week. So I've seen what negotiated that at that week time frame, that a week is over, I've actually seen some buyers ask the seller to do a walkthrough with them, or they're just allowed to do a walkthrough before they actually take possession of the house, just to make sure that nothing changed in a week. You never know, stuff could change. We don't want you, the buyer of the house, to take possession of it and you've got this new thing that popped up and we haven't protected you in that way. So make sure that you take those pictures during that final walkthrough before you take possession of the house a week later. All right, remember how I said we'll get to it? Well, now we're getting to it. What happens if during the final walkthrough you notice something? All right, so let's say if you don't feel like one of the repairs was done properly, was done to your standards, then you can absolutely go back to the seller and say, we are not closing on this house until this issue is fixed. Okay. So you can refuse to close, but everyone's got to be in conversation. You've got to talk to your agent's got to talk to that agent, and we've got to come up with a solution. Okay. Or it can be, all right, I will buy this house, but you as the buyer, you ask the seller to give you $500 or whatever it is to fix that issue at closing, okay? Or maybe the seller isn't giving you the money, but you're gonna ask them to have that thing replaced or fixed by a licensed professional. And what the title company will do is they will do what's called is withholding of escrow. So any of the seller's proceeds that they get from the sale of the house, the title company is going to hold back $1,000, whatever the amount is. They're going to hold it back until that repair is done. Once everyone signs off on it that the repair was done to everyone's liking, then the title company will release those remaining funds back to the seller. So there's a couple of things that can be done, but I'm telling you, everyone has to sign off on it. Everyone has to agree to it. All parties need to be in the know in order to make that resolution happen. New damage. Oh no, there is new damage to the house that wasn't there when you went under contract. So kind of the same thing, like I said in the previous one when they didn't do any repairs. If there's new damage, you can withhold funds from the seller at closing until they fix it. You can have the seller give you the credit, give you the money at closing so that you can have it fixed. There are some things that you can do, but you do not have to take that new damage as your responsibility now, because it was not there, and hopefully you've got photos. Hopefully you've got some photos to document that, hey, this was not here. This was not here. 100% was not here when I went to purchase the house, and now it is here. And I don't want to buy the house with a hole in the door, whatever the issue is. And here's something else that actually happens sometimes is that, let's say the seller has left the house, they have vacated it, they are gone, but they have left some personal property behind. You as the buyer can ask that seller and ask their agent to have all this removed, okay? The house needs to be vacant. All of their stuff needs to be taken out. And if they leave things behind, you can absolutely go to them and say, y'all need to come back and take the rest of your stuff. Okay, that is what happens in a final walkthrough. If you guys learned something new, then definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you are looking for a real estate agent in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and you don't have one, I would love for you to reach out and I can talk to you about how I can help you purchase or sell your house. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.